2004 is an important year for Lithuania, not only EU membership of 20 years, but also NATO membership. And now to discuss more of what that means for Lithuania and for the Alliance and for the world, I'm joined by Vice Minister of National Defense, Žilvinas Tomkus. Thank you, Minister, for sharing your time with us. So as I said, this is an important number, 2004, 20 years. Let's focus on NATO first. That has played a key role for your country. What are the perceptions after membership right now? Where is Lithuania now on that?
I believe we are still at the same understanding and same perception that NATO is core of our defense and our security. We had this aim in 2004, and still we believe that NATO ensures our security and defense. And we just made society polls, and 90% of our society supports membership in NATO, and 80% of society thinks that NATO ensures deterrence and defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also that's key, is that it's very much accepted by the population. You have a high support by people. And what is the reason behind that? Is that because of the memories of Russian occupation here? Is that why that is? I mean, there's such close connection with Ukraine as well, your support.
Yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't say that it's because of the memories. It was a general understanding as we regained our independence in the 1990s. So the thing is that we wanted to be a part of Euro-Atlantic community. And it's not only about the defense of security, but also the understanding that we are part of our Euro-Atlantic community, and that's why it's the support. So we have this large number of support in our society.
And if we look at, I think one of the major issues as well is, I mean, the Baltic states collectively quite small, I think altogether roughly around 6.5 million people. But certainly with now a louder voice in the European Union, also in NATO, in many cases we've heard that now larger partners in the West, from the US, Germany, France, said that this part of the world was right about Russia. Is there more of a, let's say, strategic voice as this region now listened to more in NATO as well as in Brussels?
The reason why we joined NATO, it was also, threat perception. So, and, of course, history, what we have, and, the attitude towards Russia. So, and it is, in our region, it's very visible that, Russia is, an aggressor, and it started in 2008. Despite the fact that, in 2004, when we joined the NATO, so Russia was a strategic partner, and we looked for possibilities to deepen the cooperation with Russia. But 2008, Georgia, 2014, Ukraine, Crimea, and 2022, Ukraine. Large-scale war in Ukraine. So we always repeated that we should look at threat perception and how we understand this threat perception. And it was also very visible that Russia has imperialistic ambitions, and they showed these imperialistic ambitions in Georgia, in Ukraine, twice.
Looking at threat perceptions as well, I mean, you have Belarus on one side, you have the Russian enclave really close by, Kaliningrad. Let's talk about that threat perception right now. I mean, a lot has happened these last 2 years. The eastern flank of NATO has been strengthened. You have a German battalion, the first time since the Second World War, Germans will be permanently actually posted abroad. But looking at the threat perception, is Lithuania now, let's say, not better equipped, but is it equipped enough for these kind of perceptions?
It's very difficult to say, is it enough? Is it possible to reach the level, that we could say that we are safe and we can defend it very easily? The thing is that, we always have to look at our defense and our defense capabilities. In 2014, with Crimea, so when Russia started its campaign against Ukraine and occupied Crimea, so the thing is that we started loudly to talk about, Russia's aggression in Europe, and we started to talk about the need to come back to forward defense concept. And at that time it was like, oh, it's impossible. Okay, we achieved the thing that, it's like enhanced forward presence in the region, showing, to to Euro-Atlantic community that we are serious, but nobody thought about the large-scale war in Europe. So, and 2022, so Ukraine happened again. That's why we say that war in Ukraine started not in 2022, it started in 2014. So we are now in war, 10 years. So, and you might say that, okay, it's like we are trying to ensure deterrence and defense. But I think it's, of course, we have to look at Russia and what Russia is doing and is planning to do. And the thing is that, we have capabilities, but not only capabilities. We are rebuilding the capabilities. We are at war, but we are rebuilding capabilities, and we are planning to increase their military presence in the region with establishing new districts, military district in Kaliningrad, in Leningrad district. So that sends a message. But it's in wars, very important element is, the intentions. And with Ukraine in 2022, Russia showed the intention that they are ready to initiate and to start a large-scale war in 21st century. This is the most dangerous fact. And for us, the message is that we have to do everything to ensure our deterrence. So by modernizing and strengthening our armed forces, our military capabilities, but also ensuring the interoperability among allies, and of course preparing our societies as well.
Yeah. Speaking of interoperability, I think that's key, especially for NATO. I mean, we have currently still ongoing the largest NATO exercises since the Cold War. Steadfast Defender has been running also into this country, into Lithuania. Brave Griffin not so long ago as well. What does that say about the readiness? I mean, and how can you perceive the cooperation also with your neighboring countries in the Baltics and also into Poland? So can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, that's the point. And, last year during NATO summit in Vilnius, we loudly declared that, NATO approved regional plans. So, and we have, with Poland as well, defense plans. So, but it's not only, the paper, you have to test this and to exercise these documents. So that's why it's important to have constant exercises, not only within this country, but also with your neighbors, and especially here in the region, Baltic region and Poland. And for example, Brave Griffin exercise is one of example how we test to defend Suwalki Gap. That is sometimes perceived as most vulnerable place in our region.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'm looking at hybrid threats. That's also something that we have to be aware of. If that's cybersecurity attacks, if that's, let's say, weaponizing migration on your border walls, also with Poland as well, the same, preventing that from Belarus. Also concerned with reports that we're hearing about these increased jamming frequencies coming from Kaliningrad. I know that some time ago there was an American drone that had to emergency land. I think there was some problems with the UK Defense Minister on his way back through Poland. At what point does that hybrid threat become not just passive but overt? At what point can we respond, and what are we doing to prevent that?
Again, it's for us, it's the most important thing is to understand that Russia can use any actions. So we had, organized migration from Belarus, but also it was, I believe, and we believe that it's very well coordinated with Moscow. This operation was coordinated with Moscow. One thing. So we have, attack against our critical energy infrastructure in Baltic Sea. So jamming, So the thing is the important thing is to understand and prepare our society that we might expect, any hybrid actions, one thing, but also to improve our communication and warning system, our intelligence system, to be prepared for such actions. It's not, a purely military action, but it might have large implications.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also so key here. I mean, I think some recent amendments I think are going on with conscription, for instance, in this region, also calling on reservist troops over the age of 60. What has been the reaction from the population here? Do they accept those kinds of activities?
Yeah, the thing is, we here in Lithuania, we declare that we are implementing total defense concept. with a message to our society that defense is not only the business of armed forces or our allies. It's also the business and responsibility of our society. And we say that this total defense is based on three main principles or elements. The first one is strong armed forces. The second, credible collective defense, and the third is resilient society and state. So, and that's why the important thing is that that the society would feel the responsibility and and be resilient and aware and have awareness about the security threats and challenges. So, and that's why we try to involve in defense also the society, and all the conscription system, all we do with our information campaigns, it's part of increasing resilience of the society, and it's like that's why we want to establish these connections between defense system and society and on daily business. So that's why we have kind of courses for young people at schools, at universities, also with all these modernizations and changes in our conscription system, just to involve a bigger part of the society in defense, to be ready for for kind of X day or D day as we call. But the most important thing is to send the message to Moscow again that it's not only about part of the society or a small part of the society. It's about a state. It's about our society, which would be ready to defend the country in case of an aggression action.
Yeah, I think that's an important message. A message indeed from this nation, but also with strong support from an alliance all around. Thank you so much, Minister Tomkus, for your time. Thank you. And thank you for watching. And Sasha Farba from Vilnius, Lithuania.